Maslow's hierarchy of needs explained. So it just was brought up to me by a coworker, and I thought, man, this is a great topic. I just did a stream a little while ago, and I have tons of energy, and I was like, I'm gonna stream on this as well tonight. I was in a conversation with a coworker the other day, and I was explaining how sadly, when people hit a certain point, finances, life, whatever it might be, they start kind of playing around with stuff. They get bored, and I'm concerned about that with AI to a degree. Like every iteration, whether it was the printing press or newspapers or TV or the internet, and now AI, it's making our lives, some of them easier and some of them much harder. If you look at the wealth disparity, it's some of the highest wealth disparity we've ever seen in our lives. So the Maslow's hierarchy of needs was something that was brought up to me when I was explaining my thought process. As I lead stretching at work, and that leads to some deep conversations sometimes. Because I don't know about yourselves, but I find that when I'm stretching or doing something physical, playing pool, throwing the football around, going for a walk, that the communication just flows a lot better. So the basic needs are, hey Lotus, how are you? Nice to see you. So the first is the psychological needs. So we've got air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. Reproduction, I assume, as a human species. So this baseline is what allows us to all function, to be human, I would say, right? Like, without the one source in our world that is absolutely needed to continue in humanity outside of probably water, air, and food is reproduction and sleep. Is reproduction, because if we don't reproduce, well, humanity is over. So, reproduction is so key to the way we interact and why it's such a focal point of everything that we do. Like the shelters we make, the cars we drive, the schooling we do, the beauty, the spending time to prepare our clothing or whatever it might be. It's all based off of this dance of reproduction for the most part, unless you have a different type of relationship style or you don't ever feel like you want kids. But humanity needs reproduction to happen for us to move forward as human beings. So in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, these baseline psychological needs are just things that are brewing in the back of our minds at all times. So, you see it in each of these points I'll break out. So with air, you see that in highly polluted communities where, these seem like they seem like basic rights that people should have. And there's people who are, having years, decades cut off their life just because they're breathing awful air. They have terrible air conditions. Water is a scarcity in most places of the world. I live in Toronto, and we live around some of the most amount of fresh water in the world, and it's crazy that there's people in my I can't wrap my head around it, that there's millions of people that are literally dying of thirst, or it's very, very inaccessible, or they even have to ration out water. uh, Food, which is becoming more and more of a problem. As I live in a big city, and they say it's about 3 days worth of food on the shelves. We have such a economic system and structure that's set up that, well, people, you just, you go to the supermarket, that's where you get your food, and that's about it. I'd love to have a YouTube channel where I'm starting from the ground up, making a farm, making a chicken farm, doing all that fine, fun stuff. But, as of right now, I live in the concrete jungle, and it is what it is. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have, oh, hey, Odele, how are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see you tonight. Happy Friday. So in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have the psychological thought process of shelter. I think, sadly, we live in a world where there's so much disparity, especially in colder nations, where there is just no adequate places for millions of people to sleep, and it just blows my mind. Ole, just the evening live coming in to listen and enjoy. Wonderful. I hope your live went really well. I didn't have a chance. I actually just did a live, and I didn't have like anybody on, no chat, no nothing. So I blew by my entire, I blew through my entire, talk, all my notes, everything in about half an hour. Usually takes about an hour with questions, but I was like, all right, I just was going to go through Maslow's hierarchy of needs because I have the energy, I have the time, and I'm here early. So let's get her done. So I hope your stream went well. There's just so many people are struggling for that, and we're seeing more and more of a disparity. Sleep. It's amazing how many people that I know. Sorry, it's not amazing. It's awful the amount of people that I know that struggle to get a good night's sleep, whether it's due to stress or due to medical problems or due to, socioeconomic problems. Who knows the reasons why a lot of people are struggling with sleep, but if you're not sleeping well, it destroys your entire day, your entire week, your entire month. Clothing, of course, really matters in a really, really hot or really, really cold environment. Of course, it matters in all environments, but you absolutely will die if you are living in a northern climate or a very southern climate and you do not have the right clothing. And as we talked about earlier, reproduction. So this is the psychological needs, the baseline, and I think if we look at it from a spiritual context, these are all things that God continually talks about, making sure, even God talks about air and the breathing of just that life, the life-giving air. God talks about water and talks about food on a consistent basis, and these things are all very relevant to the way how we need to live and how we need to move and breathe and have our being. And so, but what's more interesting is it gets into sleep in the book of Ecclesiastes and how people need to have a good night's sleep for them to be able to thrive. And it's good when you just do a hard day's work and you're doing the best you can for yourself to sleep and to feel good about yourself that you have slept. And I'm telling you, some of the hardest days of work that I've ever had have been concluded by some of the best sleeps that I've ever had. Feeling just refreshed. Feeling sometimes like a moment. You close your eyes, open your eyes, and then boom, all of a sudden it's done. But it just feels so good and so rejuvenating. And then, the reproduction side of things, which again, God talks about. Now, the next layer in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have safety needs. So personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. Now, it's crazy that all of these needs seem to be on the forefront in North America these days. We have personal security, we have AI attacks, we have business attacks, we have there's so many scams out there, there's a lot more violence, people are getting their homes robbed. And that really starts to take a toll on society and a toll on people. It really hurts people. We, as a society, need to continue to work on those safety needs. And what we've done, sadly, is we've, over the past, I'd say, 20 to 30 years, maybe 40 years, we've taken the side of the criminal a lot more than we've taken the side of the innocent person that's being hurt, persecuted, destroyed. Just the person who is taking on the heinous attacks and heinous problems and robberies and killings. We want to just consistently heal the person who's super broken, but usually if you don't deal with the person who is actually causing the pain, you're causing multiple people to have pain and to live through years and decades of pain moving forward. So in the safety needs, I really wish that again, the next 5 things I'm going to talk about all seem to be things that North America is really struggling with right now, and a lot of the rest of the world, but stuff that we haven't seen in decades or millennia. Or centuries, I should say, not millennia. Employment is on the down curve. I'll see Canadian employment, the unemployment rate in Canada is 6.9%. Thankfully, it's down from 7.1 in September, but it's at its highest level in about a decade. And sadly, there was 34,000 jobs lost in August. So there's a lot of job insecurity, a lot of people who are frustrating. And AI the Alley coming in with, if you had to send a tiny message to the world, what would it be? That's a great question. I would say, tiny message to the world, what would it be? That you are loved, that you are worth more than you could ever imagine, that God created you with a purpose, and I love you and I'm praying for you. And there's so much more to this life that is tangible, and I hope you can receive that and live that way one day. All right, appreciate that comment there, Ali. So unemployment definitely is becoming a big need. So we're seeing that with the psychological needs, where there's a lot of places that are underdeveloped and that are hurting, and they absolutely need, a lot of changes. And we've had these types of changes, and now we're seeing these psychological needs trickle into the first world countries. Uh, Ali, would it be okay if I made a short video for you giving you a shout out to your channel? Oh, absolutely. That's totally wonderful. Totally down with that. You have my approval. I hope I am taken, not out of context and done the right way, but you know what? I'm totally open to, that's very kind of you. And I hope, I hope it works out. For both our sakes, and I hope your channel is working out really well. Okay, so the safety needs are now starting to really trickle into the North American world and realm, and comes with the, oh, you're most welcome. This comes in with the financial disparity that we're starting to see, and how many societies kind of fall apart. So resources, we have resources at our disposal, but we are moving towards a bit more of a try to save the planet. And I think that's a fantastic thought process. I'm constantly recycling, constantly looking for ways to save energy. I know I'm a blip in a world of people who take private jets. I read this hilarious meme which said, here I am drinking my wet, soggy cardboard straw when Taylor Swift has flown back and forth from Japan 5 times and blew out more emissions than 100 million straws or 100 billion straws put together. But that's just the rich and the famous. You just have to try your best to do your best, and just do what you can in the moment. So resources, we tend to we're lacking in that, and such. The countries are going to heavy economic hurt and pain, and a lot of people are being exploited because of that. We have a lot of struggles in the first world countries, as the health systems are starting to crumble even more so than they were. The privatized system, well, there's not a heck of a lot of rich people anymore, and those are few and far between in the upper middle class. So the health system is having a big tear down, and it seems like a possessive hold on the community. And so what ends up happening is, as people get more worried about their psychological needs and their safety needs, their health starts to deteriorate. They eat out of panic and out of fear. And that leads to, just a lot of instability and a lot of mental health issues as well. And lastly, for the safety needs, we have property. And now property is an interesting one, as sometimes we're hearing people's property being taken from them. There's a huge surge of people who are losing their homes, sadly, to the remortgages that are coming up, people losing their job. And property prices have just gone through the roof again, especially in first world countries. And if we look at most other countries around the world, psychological and safety needs are not at all being taken into account for. So we have to be very, very aware, as Maslow's hierarchy of needs is stating. These are the things that help us to just baseline be humans, and a lot of people are living in inhuman conditions. All right, so love and belonging would be the third on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we have friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection. And I saw, if you followed my channel here for a while, this is something that we talk about all the time, where friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection is very, very needed within the human condition. I think that Christianity teaches that we need to be feeding the poor, giving them water and shelter, the people who are needy, the people who need to sleep, to have a safe place to be able to do that, especially women and children, or people who are the most marginalized in the community. And that could be a person, multimillionaires or 100,000aires, and they need psychological help. They need connections. A lot of people are very single, they're very alone. And even when it comes to the reproduction side of things, there's, for most of humanity, and I'm not trying to go off on too much of a tangent, but most of humanity and a lot of the world still does like arranged marriages and communal marriages, and there's a lot of things that are wrong with that, and people abuse those. But most of the people I meet at my work right now are part of a arranged marriage, not so much a love marriage, and it seems to be working with a lot of the cultures and people throughout the centuries. So there is something beautiful. Like, I've come from a quote unquote love marriage. I can't see myself or some of my friends or my children not being in a love marriage, but I can understand why communities and tougher places with tougher situations, do that, because they go into arranged marriages because life is tough, and finding the right partner is very difficult to do, especially when you have a small window. And again, the Bible talks about safety needs. It talks about, protecting yourself. It talks about employing people and working hard and having property and taking care of one's health. And so in the love and belonging, which is the third of the five, we see that, friendship is needed, which is to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. For intimacy, hopefully with a spouse and a different family. Family is the next point. And a sense of connection. I think you can get that in church and in small groups and in different groups across the board, and that is absolutely needed to feel loved and belonged. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs so far goes: the bottom layer is psychological needs, then safety needs, now love and belonging. Now, when you have those foundations, and especially love and belonging could be at the bottom, but because people just have to do those things to survive. I understand why he put safety needs and psychological needs below love and belonging, because love and belonging, sadly, for many people is just stuff they've never had and stuff they may never have, which is horrible. But from that, you can have esteem, you can have respect. And so that goes to the next bar up here, which is esteem, self-respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And these are the things that I think a lot of the first world nations have had for a long time, and I hope they don't lose them as, a lot of different belief groups and leaders and peoples are moving in to power, and they're shifting, respect for one another away. They are, not worried about other people's self-esteem, they're worried about agendas. And granted, a lot of the first world countries have fallen over the past 50, 60 years because they stopped doing that, but they were doing very well because they were trying to implement respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. Freedom was a massive one. So in the respect side of things, I think it's respecting different people's cultures and thoughts and ideas, not to the point of letting them impinge or infringe on other people, but doing it so that there can be a fluidity in the marketplace. We've seen that at different times in human history where there's been many cultures and people groups together in the same place, and people work it out. Things are all right. You have self-esteem. Excuse me, get some water here. Or people feel a lot better. I was peeking at your vids and I noticed the captions are a bit tricky to read. The red and white bold in the outline could help a ton. Also, maybe try a few hashtags. Could help your views even pop off more. Okay, thank you, AI Ali. Appreciate it. Notice the captions are a bit tricky to read. Red text with bold outline could help a ton. Okay, sounds good. I've tried to do that a lot with the last few videos. Also, maybe try a few hashtags. Could help the views pop off even more. Okay, I'll definitely get back into hashtagging. I had watched a lot of videos from a lot of top creators, and they said the hashtag thing wasn't a thing anymore. But hey, I'm open to learning and getting more information out there. So thank you so much, Ali the AI. Appreciate that. Okay, so the last, oh yes, so sorry, then status, feeling status in general. Oh, have you used YouTube Create? Uh, Occasionally, but not fully. Maybe you could drop some information as to how to connect in with that. I'm totally open to learning. Thank you, Ali. Self-esteem, status recognition. All right, so yes, we're at status here. So status is one of those things in life that when we are able to move up within a job or have a title or coach or be a parent or whatever it might be, that status, as long as it's not filled with pride, can really help us to cement our self-esteem, our self-worth. And when we get recognition for those things, well, it just feels fantastic as long as it doesn't become too prideful. Then we work on the different strengths in our lives, and inevitably, this will all hinge back on the fact that we have the freedoms to do this. So the whole esteem area is that you can be in a war-torn country and still have friendships and intimacy and a sense of connection. But when it comes to being in a place of a lot of freedom and making good choices, the esteem side of things is very, we're blessed in the first world countries to still have that. And then finally, self-actualization, which is the desire to become the most that one can be. So uh, the self-actualization, I think a lot of the time comes down to your belief systems. Do you believe in God? Do you want to move forward in, community help? Do you want to be a spokesperson for a certain cause? And this self-actualization causes people at the top of the pyramid to usually go one of two ways: to become very, very much about other people and helping other people and just feeling good about themselves, and or becoming a bit of a tyrant or a nasty acting person or a criminal or someone who is just vile. And so at the top of this pyramid, we find that the people who are starting to really separate in the financial world, their self-actualization, if it's not resting in God or the belief in helping other people, is actually moving into tormenting others and hurting other people. And this is where my friend who studied psychology brought up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because he said, I was saying that when people hit to a place where they have all the freedom, the status, the strength, and everything they need and more, as they keep on building their financials and their mini empire, a lot of these people, they go one of two routes. They go and they help people, or they just go off and destroy people. And so one of the things that we've been seeing is with the Epstein files, and just with child trafficking and the abuse of children and the abuse of women, and the people who are we still have a huge slave trade that's happening in many of the third world countries of the world, as well as some of the first world countries. But the big one is the sex trade. Is that we're finding a lot of these high, there's obviously people in the middle class and low class taking advantage of children as well, but we see these people who have so much to offer the world and could be doing so much, destroying and hurting people, or at least allegedly. It seems that way, but it is alleged. So, that's kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Just really felt like sharing that. If anyone has any comments, thoughts, or questions, that's cool. But if not, it was just nice to hang out with you again. And Ali, I will definitely check out the YouTube Create, and I definitely will try my best to make better video captions as well. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. If you have any questions or thoughts, that's wonderful. And if you'd like to subscribe or like the video, that's great too. And I just I hope that in this the talk tonight, you maybe gleaned some areas where you need to work on things in your life, and really look at again, the name is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and see maybe where foundationally or safety wise or love or esteem or self-actualization, where on that path you are, or if those needs are being fulfilled. And If they're not, then I hope you do try to get those needs fulfilled. All right, y'all. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have a great night. Oh, okay, Lotus. I think the self-actualization is similar to Carl Jung's individuation process. Okay, let me. You know what? I'll take a look at that right now. I think I know what you're talking about, but let me make sure that we read into a summarization of this. And I think a lot of people come down to the same. Oh, thanks, Steve. I appreciate you being here as well again. So let's individuation process. Carl Jung. It's always wonderful to see the overlap in the way people process information and things in general. Carl Jung's individuation process is the lifelong journey of self-realization and psychological integration towards becoming a whole, unique individual. It involves the conscious integration of unconscious elements, such as the shadows of the animaya and animus, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, to move beyond the ego and to become one true self. This process aims to create balance between the inner and outer worlds, leading to more of a complete and authentic personality. Interesting. That's cool. Wow, this diagram is very cool. I wish at some point to get multiple screens set up so that I can show off the stuff that I'm researching and seeing. Okay, so this is yeah, this is super deep. The Great Mother. Interesting. I'll definitely take a look at this. Thank you so much, Lotus. I appreciate that. That's some very cool stuff here. The shadow and making sure the ego is in check. Multiple modules. Oh, there's okay. Well, there's a full-on, I think, mini course I can take. Hey, I'll definitely take a look at this. Wow, yeah, and there's a lot of people who've subscribed to this teaching set. Thank you so much, Lotus. I appreciate that. I will definitely take a look, and I'll bookmark the whole thing tonight. I'll try to watch it, and I don't know if I'll do reviews on this, in this channel. I don't want to get any strikes on my channel. I'm just trying to share my thoughts and processes and learnings as I go, but I'm definitely open to learning and growing with y'all as time goes on. That is some cool stuff. Well, again, I hope that if you're on the hierarchy right now, and if you feel that any of those things I've listed off are not something that you feel that you're accessing or that you feel safe in, that you get the help for that. And if you want to chat about that and you're watching the replay of this video, please comment below, and I'd love to connect with you about any of those. And I'll just read it off one more time before I close off, which is psychological needs, which is air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. Safety needs, which is personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. Love and belonging is the next one, which is friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. The second from the top is esteem, which is respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And the top tower is self-actualization, the desire to become the most that one can be, or the best a man can get. Gillette. Gillette took off of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I'll definitely, again, Lotus, take a look at I want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right, the individuation process. Individuation process. I don't think I've ever heard that word, individuation. I guess it's like a dividing of the internals, or the process of how you do that. Wow, that chart just looks incredible if you all have a chance to take a look at that.